Hello, I'm Bruce Zimmerman, and this is the Open Line Garden Show podcast for this week. From 10 Speed Press comes the book by Josie Jeffrey. It's Mix and Match Guide to Companion Planting. Now, believe it or not, this is a book where you have to read the instructions in order to actually read it and use it. It's an interesting book on companion planting. And what it does is you go through and you pick and choose your different crops for different purposes, whether it's going to be for beneficial insects, pollinators, something to deter pests from coming to your garden, prevent disease, ornamental properties, or even as a trap crop, catch crop, and different soil improvers, health improvers, improves flavor, and even yield improvers. So what you do is you take all these little buttons and you mix and match as you're going through the book in order to pick and choose your crop. So if you pick a crop, let's say to grow above the ground, you would pick lavender. To grow carrots as your central crop, no problem. Then you could also consider using foxglove as a below-ground companion. This is how this book works. It's very extensive. It takes a little bit of patience, but you do have to read the instructions and go through and match the colored dots. And in doing this, you will find you will improve your crops for the benefit that you choose. So all those little things, whether it's beneficial, supplies nutrients to the soil, or health improvers to the plants, or improves just the flavor of the plants themselves. There is approximately 16 buttons to mix and match. So that tells you everything right there. Now, it does tell you how to prepare soils, etc., and all the basics of organic gardening. It also does cover celestial gardening, which is by the skies and stars and the moon as well. So, there are days when you do certain things, when the pass through certain zodiac signs. It's all in here. So, it has been sort of a collection of this information over a lifetime, and she's put it together in a mix and match book so that you can go and actually utilize the terms in the book and benefit yourself and your family from mixing and matching different plants that you would probably never think of. It also covers, of course, fertilizing, watering your garden, and the selection of that, and what plants to get started with when you're starting to put plants together. It talks about crop rotation in each year. So it's usually, she works with a 3-year rotation. And you'll find, if you notice, above ground, in the ground, and below ground. So above, in, and below. Okay, sort of in the 3 stripes as you go through and page through to mix and match. So 3 is an extremely important number in this book and using this book. It talks about thinning and transplanting. It talks about the general care of your crops as well, and whether or not a weed is a friend or a foe. So it's really quite interesting. It does both herbs, it does vegetables, it does all kinds of plants, but most people like to use and mix and match the vegetables and the herbs together. So even if you want to grow radishes and eggplants and dill, it's all in here. And it is a book where you just sort of page through and say, okay, I want to grow grapes. Yeah, grapes are in here. What do you match, and the buttons that you match in order to get the different plants that you can go and grow with grapes to improve, let's say, flavor, to improve volume, okay, or quantity. This is how this book works, and it's one of the books that I think is a little what I would call out of the mainstream. And that's good, because we need to stop and think about how we do things, how we manage our soils. A lot of us in homes with gardens manage that soil over a lifetime or for many, many years. So we want to make sure that what we're doing is the best, not only for production, but for our health and our garden and the environment that we live and play in our yards. So this book is a book that you may want to actually go and do. I like this book. It's, again, by Josie Jeffries. It's called The Mix and Match Guide to Companion Planting, and it's from 10 Speed Press. Definitely a book well worth the money, but you're going to have to educate yourself on how to use the book and to utilize it effectively for what you want out of your garden in the coming year and years, because this book just never ends. Because remember, you're rotating your crops. When you rotate a crop, you need to rotate the companion plants as well. I'm Bruce Zimmerman. This is the Open Line Garden Show podcast for this week.